right.
Hey, Daisy.
Hey, just checking in. Is there anything else you needed me for tonight?
No. I think kind of your plan of action is good. Oh,
Yeah.
so
I think as far as like the gang stuff goes,
yeah.
you know, just really like reinforcing standards. I need to, I think, meet with Frost and Denzel and figure out what is going on with TRT.
I think
Um, you know, I think that they take a lot of pride in the unit, and I think they probably get very like hyped up, right,
yeah,
when they're
I agree.
patrolling. Which is good, but we just got to make sure that they don't go overboard with things.
The way um here's kind of my running assumption. And it's hard to validate
Mhm.
this, right? Because for me, I got to filter out what I'm hearing from like Den, for example, or what I'm hearing on behalf of Den versus
Mhm.
filtering out what these gangs are saying, because the truth is going to be somewhere in the middle, transparently. Um,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. I mean, I think I've said this to you before, right? We have a lot more units on duty
yeah,
now. Our numbers are higher.
yeah,
So while like we have to take some time to adjust to that and like how
mm.
does that look for us? I think it's also a matter of the city probably adjusting to that as well. Um
I agree with that. I think my the way that I've kind of translated in my mind all the um, gang talk, gang speak, or whatever you want to call it, is to some degree that unit of 4 groups do not collectively even fully comprehend or have a cohesive agreement as to what they're agitated with. Um, for example, some are cool with this cop, but then the other gang is not cool with that cop, but is cool with another cop that the other gang doesn't like, right? So there's that on the mix. But the one thing they seemingly like, if I filter out some of the bullshit, what I've gotten out of it is if you're, and I told Peters this earlier, is I was witness myself, and it was corroborated what they experienced, is they're going in a ball of 6 to turf to turf to turf. Now, Peters did bring up that they only go if they get a drug ping. But my counter to that is what that ping doesn't mean anything. If they get a drug sale, let's say they're in Cyprus, right? And they're like, oh, there's nothing over here. And like I said, I witnessed this. I watched Den in action. Is
mhm.
that if they're in Cyprus, right, and they didn't catch a bite, they're kind of wait to then go to the next place. And they'll be like, okay, where's the next ping? The concern I have with
Mhm.
that is this is the tactical response team, right? But if you see a ping pop off in another spot and you're rushing down there, what are you going there for, right? How do you know who made the handoff? How do you know when you arrive and then you're, let's say, over escalating? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you go down there, there's like one guy and you're like, yo, where are the drugs? Or like whatever it is. You don't know what that guy
Um
did or if he was involved. Where's the.
So,
Mhm.
so obviously, I didn't want to go into too much detail about how we respond to calls to
Yeah.
Mr. I think his name is Luciano.
Yeah, of course.
But ideally, what should be happening is when there is a drug call. So let's say there's a drug call in Forum.
Mhm.
Units stage in the area and we get a few units on surveillance and they're there they got cameras out, they got the binoculars out, and they are looking to see what the hell's going on. They're looking to see
Yes.
how many people are there, uh are there actually, you know, drug
Mm-hmm.
handoffs. They're getting the pictures, they're doing the investigation. And once they have that, once they have, obviously they
Yeah.
have RS, they could like, so here's kind of my thought, right?
Yeah.
Is you get a drug call, right? I'm just going to use Forum as an example. You
Mm-hmm.
get a drug call, you get 6 units to roll in together. Nobody's going to be fucking handing off drugs in front of officers.
We're on the same page.
It is so much harder to actually catch somebody other than literally forcing a chase out of them, because
Yes.
then if you do the investigation, you basically do a stakeout, which
Mm-hmm.
is a part of TRT, and you get the PC, you photograph the drug handoff, and then you roll in, because then at that point you actually have a target. You say, this person in the pink sweatshirt, I saw them do a handoff, units roll in.
Yep. Yep. We are exactly on the same page. And this is what they want. What they're seeing, and I can corroborate it, not only being in the vehicle, but seeing it happen, is that bit is not occurring. So what they're seeing on their end is someone comes through. It might be a guy slinging, but they don't know that, right? And now all of a sudden that turns into a shootout. And now should the gang have come in and shot the cops? No, absolutely not. But
I will say with these kind of calls, that's,
yeah,
the even like I do want to make sure this is clear, right?
Yeah.
Like, you do the investigation and everything, you roll in.
fucking
They
raid their
haven't
ass.
they still, well, you have to keep in mind though, is that they haven't seen you do the investigation part, right? They won't know that until
Yep.
basically after the arrest, in which then it can be explained, yeah, we sat there, we photographed you guys doing it.
Yep.
But so there still might be that initial pushback, because what they'll see still are 6 units rolling in together, but they don't understand at that point that the officers have actually done the work. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean, but I don't think that's the case. And the reason I say that is, if it's anything like I witnessed, where they just either
They just
were
go
going
ping
turf to
ping.
turf, or they're
Yeah.
waiting for a drug sale, they're foregoing all of that. And the thing is, like, these guys communicate with each other, right? So if they make a phone call afterwards, they're like, yeah, they were in our neighborhood, and then this neighborhood, they can easily deduce that none of that is occurring.
Yeah.
And my initial call with
I,
SK was he highlighted that bit, but he also highlighted, by the time we're out of jail, they were already in our block pressing us again. So it's sort of like, it's the frequency of them rolling through, while the gangs also know they either A, weren't pushing anything, or there was a singular guy. Now, I will say that Peters did bring up another point. While I was trying to highlight this, is he said the problem is some of these guys are really ratty, and so it's hard to do the investigation because they're, like, I guess, selling on roofs and shit. And what I told him is, like, people are going to do weird shit, right? And they might start selling in the sewers under their turf, right? But they're, at a certain extent, you have to you realize that you aren't like the grand marshals, right? And
we still have to do things a certain way. Like, no matter what, like, ratty shit people do, at the end of the day, we still, like, that is literally our job, is to investigate and determine whether or not a crime is being committed. You know, that's it. It's pretty straightforward. And if we're not doing the investigating part, we're not really doing our job.
Mm-hmm. I'll give you another, like, word of, like, to explain off why I have trust in someone like SK. There, or some of these individuals, y'all recently had a very big bust. Nobody had an issue with that. You know what I mean? And for the TRT guys, you have my full support. I want you guys to kick indoors. I want, like, a press conference where it's like, yo, we just recovered an insane amount of drugs. Fuck the arrests with shootouts. Like, when TRT is able to stand up on a podium and say we just raided this property because of da 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 da, that's success in my mind, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Hopefully Peters, it's just hard for me to talk to Denzel because you're shift 1 and
mm.
on the weekdays I can't be around during shift 1. But hopefully Peters might be around a little bit later and I can talk to him about all this so we can basically relay it to Denzel. If I see Sky, Sky is mainly in shift 3. So what I can do is I can have her have a conversation with Jimmy Frost, who's also a cert lead for. He is the cert lead for TRT.
Okay.
So we can relay that to him so that way he can kind of get this back on track. I think Jimmy is on board with like what we have talked about. He's very seems very by the book about things.
Wait, who is this?
Um, Frost, Jimmy
Oh,
Frost.
okay. Yep.
So I think I will just have a conversation, or I'll have Sky have a conversation with him, and it'll probably get sorted out pretty quick.
Okay.
Jimmy's mainly in shift 3, so he
Yeah.
may not know that this is going on.
Yeah. You're probably not wrong. Yeah. And
Um,
I get the
but
excitement of what I think is happening. I get it. I
and
really
and
do.
and I want them to be
Yeah.
excited. I do. Like
But
I want them, like I love the fact that like they are a close-knit unit and they take a lot of pride and joy in their work. That's super important and that's what like Peters and I wanted
mm,
to enable people to do.
yeah.
It brings people on duty. But I just think that they just need to know the line and that, they just have to take additional steps when going to these calls. Like
Yeah.
we still want to enable and encourage them to go to the calls, but we also want them to take additional steps while going to the calls. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just you know, yeah. I think this is the right couple steps. I'm sure there's going to be some pushback, but at the end of the day, right? Long-term plan. Fuck feelings. It's police work,
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Easy.
Fuck
All
their
right.
feelings.
Yep.
But so we'll get that sorted out. I'll also have Sky talk to Jimmy
Yep.
about the shit talking stuff.
Yep.
Because it's literally like in the TRT SOPs that like you don't advertise TRT, and I I think if he finds out that that shit's been going on, like the
Wait,
antagonizing and
really?
whatnot, yeah, you don't. It's in their SOPs. You don't advertise TRT.
Oh boy. Wait, you do know about the the Colombian photos, right?
Yeah, that's how I know about all of this is because I found out about those fucking photos, and I kind of chewed out Denzel about it, and I
Okay,
don't
yeah.
think it's happened since.
I do think I transparently that shit is funny, at least. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that, it shouldn't not be in the SOPs, but I don't think anyone's gonna ever be mad about shit like
Oh,
that.
they were mad.
About
They
that
were
one?
mad. Yeah,
Oh, see,
they were mad and
see.
they like kidnapped civilians and they were threatening to harm them if Denzel didn't apologize and it
Oh
was
my
like a whole
God.
oh yeah. Oh yeah. It was a whole thing.
There's also that dissemination between mad and mad. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I don't
It,
I think it's
I don't mean it
think
you might be thinking either. More is it part of their gang bit or are they actually ready to blow up cops? You know what I'm saying?
no, I think it was just part of their
Yeah.
gang shit.
Yeah.
They
Um.
basically Denzel, kind of disrespected them, so they were like, all right, we'll show you."
mm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's TRT shit.
Yeah.
But oh god, I almost just fell off the roof. But yeah, we'll get it sorted out. What else? Are you and Peters? Are you guys okay?
Yeah, we're good. I think so. Why?
I don't know. He said in the car earlier that you were like yelling at him.
Yeah, I was doing it for Subway sandwiches.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, right. Well, I was a little upset with him earlier. I'm gonna be transparent. I told him that he's got too much on his plate because he has goldfish memory. So I was, keep in mind, I woke up to the south side's on fire, and Blaine County did nothing wrong, and I'm like, excuse me, right? Like I'm not on this like I need you guys to be like anti Blaine County, right? But I mean, like, literally, he was defending the undefendable, and it was very confusing. And I'm like, Peters, did you forget all these things? How you... most of it came down to the conversation about, like, I'm asking, you know, all this shit popped off over the weekend, and I'm waking up and hearing that not only is the South on fire, but they're telling me that Bones led the operation down here. Like, this is your opportunity to hold, like, to take the flag of the LSPD and run this shit, and you gave it to the sheriff. And then he went on to tell me that, well, he did it because I got shot. And I'm like, that's even worse, because that means he didn't have any of the context other than, like, yo, someone shot me, right? So it then sort of expanded on, okay, now tell me how Carmine got suspended over jokes with SK, which SK made clear, but you're afraid to suspend cops from doing dumb shit because Cassidy's gonna yell at you. It was a tough conversation. I'll put it that way. But my biggest advice to him was witnessing the way he sounded very overwhelmed. So I kind of reminded him, I'm like, listen, you need a squad. That's where the Maxwell idea came up. I was like, you know, cut off a piece, give it to fucking Maxwell, have her look into it. You can't solve the world's problems.
Yeah,
12 hours a day.
That's what he should be doing. He should be delegating to the 3 sergeants in shift 1. Like, all the little things, like even the Carmine thing, that should have gone to a sergeant to figure out. It shouldn't, there is a lot of bullshit that happens that should not get to us.
Yeah.
But, you know, I get it. Hold on for 1 sec. I get it. Peters is very hands-on, you know, and he does genuinely care, you know. He cares about the officers in LSPD and even the deputies in BCSO. He wants everybody to have a good time on duty, and so I think he takes it upon himself to try to do that, you know.
Yeah.
But there are situations in which he needs to be delegating out to, because that's what they're there for, and like, it's good to have them feel like they're doing something as well. You know,
absolutely. And that's sort of what I tried to let him know, is that because at one point he said to me, why are you blaming me for this or something? And I'm like, I'm not blaming you. I'm the mayor coming to the ass chief and being like, why is the city on fire? Why am I hearing these things? Right? But
like, it's the whole micro and macro, right?
Yes.
Like, Peters and I should be focused on the macro and allow, you know, sergeants and below to be focused on the micro.
Exactly. And I did give him some examples. I'm like, I don't even go to these business meetings. I literally get a phone call from Michael. These are good. These are not good. Approve, not approve. You know, you got to delegate it out, because otherwise you're never going to get things done in a timely fashion. And it's going to, you know, I mean, I think he's still kind of learning that aspect of things, but Yeah, I'm not upset
as
with
am
him or
I,
anything.
you know.
Yeah.
But like today, for instance, like we have like P&T, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I was looking at the roster and looking at dispatch, and I was like, oh, I think that this probationary officer is ready for their final eval. Like I could just call them and take them out myself,
Yeah.
but I called Ruby, who is P&T. I think she's P&T lead for shift 2. She's like the P&T person for shift 2,
Mm-hmm.
with Avery. And I was like, what do you want me to do? You tell me what to do because this is yours.
Yes.
I'm not gonna overstep. So she's gonna direct me on what she wants me to do as far as taking out, for people for final evals, but that's not my place to make that call.
Yeah.
It's like we just have to be enabling people, you
Yeah.
know?
And if
And
a
I
wrong
definitely
call is
don't
made, no one's gonna be mad. You know what I mean?
no. And I'm gonna be honest, I definitely don't want to do everything myself.
No,
I
fuck
don't have
that
time for
shit.
that shit.
No.
Everybody is very much capable,
Yeah.
and think I think I need to do a better job of maybe reiterating that to Peters to lean more on command and like be delegating.
I'm gonna try to, because I see him a lot during that time zone, I may change up my vocabulary, which is, who do I talk to about this? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because
Yeah.
I feel like a lot's happened last couple days. Um, but
Yeah, it
you know,
has.
okay. I had two other questions, and one is it normal for interceptors to be like number 2 in traffic stops? Because I've been seeing a lot of that this week.
Um Well, you know what, Nino? I don't fucking know because I haven't seen the pursuit SOPs.
Yeah,
And that's why I put that shit on my thing that I sent you
yeah,
that I'm not gonna well I would tell Bones if he was around right now, but
mm,
I'm gonna wait until Bones is around and
yeah,
then I'm gonna tell him, send me the SOPs until they're approved by me. You're not patrolling or the pursuit unit is not operating in Los Santos
yeah,
because it's fucking ridiculous
yeah,
that a certification doesn't have public SOPs
yeah. It
and that they're
also,
operating.
yeah, it bothers me separately because the biggest thing that I know that they've been upset with me about is an hour into me becoming mayor, I told them to get the fuck out of my office after they refused to jot down what the highway patrol unit was. And less than 2 months later, I see interceptors casually pulling vehicles over, which I'm not necessarily like hyper opposed to. It's more the audacity of me knowing they were lying to me about it and then witnessing that lie. You know what I mean? That's how
Yeah.
I'm reading it. Um,
I yeah, I don't have a problem with like the pursuit unit patrolling in the city. I just want to know what the hell they're doing and how they operate and to make sure that they are operating in a way that makes
yeah,
sense. And they until I see the SOPs, I cannot determine that.
yeah,
Like they have 3 different cars. I don't know what these cars are used for. And those things need to be established. Like, okay, it's totally fine for, an interceptor to pull over a car, but if it's a shitty, I don't know, club,
yes, yep,
you need to if that club takes off, you need to call CVPIs on it.
yeah.
An
I
interceptor should not be chasing a club. Common sense things. But so until he provides that, once I talk to him, I'll tell him you need to provide that until you
mm.
do put the interceptors away.
I have a separate thing I chewed on a while ago, and I'd like to hear your thought.
Hmm.
I would argue that regular patrol should only be done by LSPD in the city. And my reasoning is as follows. There's a lot of cops now. And there is something to be said about over patrolling. And the way that I'm gonna kind of highlight this is, when you think of like occupation, this is gonna sound so weird. This is the best example. Listen, okay, I've been awake for a while, so don't judge me too hard. But if everywhere you look, there's a shitload of cops, people are gonna feel a certain kind of way, right? And my underlining question really comes down to is, and maybe this is a card you have in your pocket, but inherently, if you're assisting for backup, that's one thing. But why do they need to actively be patrolling and doing traffic down here, right?
I'm gonna okay. I get what you're saying, and I do think that there should be a limit to the number of units patrolling in the city. Not like coming on duty necessarily, but a limit of like I don't know. I have to think about what that number would be.
Yeah. I like where
Because
you're
like
going with this.
right now we have like 23 cops on duty. Um so what does that look like? We could have anywhere from could have probably like 4 calls going at once. And still people doing regular patrol. That's great. And that's usually how it works is that we don't have 23 cops all patrolling doing traffic stops at once. We usually have, 4 units on a boost and then 6 units are at this cash exchange. And it's really amazing when those kind of things happen when we can have 3 or 4 calls going at once when we have the numbers to do that. Um but when it's a little bit slower, obviously but even with 23 units, they're not at all in patrol. And we've taken it upon ourselves to kind of like encourage people in between calls to kind of take breaks,
Yeah.
whatever that sort of looks like for them, whether that's going to the food court or going to MRPD and cop stacking a little bit, because I do think that that helps with burnout.
Agreed.
And so even though we might have at some point 40 units on duty, the reality is we probably only have 20 to 25 that are actually out at one given time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't think it's as intense as that might be, but at the same time, I'm gonna keep it a buck. There is an issue with cops not doing traffic stops. Cops do not do traffic stops.
Really?
So I would like to actually challenge what you say, and I would want to encourage more officers to do traffic stops.
I like officers doing traffic stops.
I love it.
Not
I
sheriffs.
think traffic stops.
Deputies, I mean.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
It's weird. I'm sorry. It's weird that you're down here to do traffic. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just,
Well,
if you join LSPD, you know what I mean? If you like the city so much. So,
I mean,
we can disagree on that, but that's kind of been my general vibe.
It's so I think that this will have to come in steps, right? Because while we are putting in these the basically
They got a
we
fucking
are
toll
enforcing
booth.
the jurisdictional the jurisdiction authority. I don't think going in super hard right at the beginning is the right play.
I agree with you. I agree with that.
Like
Okay.
the steps that we're taking, I mean, it's not like
That may
they're not
already
gonna-
cause a problem.
they're not going to take it as easing them into it. But I'm going to be honest with you, Nino. Like this will more so affect shift 1 than it will affect shift 2 because
True.
shift 2 there aren't that many LSPD command. There aren't that many seniors. So at the end of the day, it's not really going to affect BCSO too much. Shift 1, it will. But I think doing kind of like the them into it, and then if we still find that there's issues, we can put further restrictions on it.
Okay.
If we find that there are too many cops in the city, then we say, okay, we were having an issue right now of too many units in the city at one time. I'm going to limit it to 30 and prioritize LSPD.
Okay.
You know, I can
Yeah.
do something like that.
I like that a lot. I like that a lot.
But I think it's something that like we will kind of play by ear. I mean, you know, who fucking knows what happens when I tell them that I'm doing this? Like again, I'm kind of curious about how they're going to react because I could just see them like crashing out and being like,
oh, it's
fuck,
gonna be it's gonna be spicy.
like
They're gonna
they're probably going to be like, we're just going to patrol in the north, and I'm going to be like,
okay, good.
okay, you know, I'll see you in 3 days when you decide to come back down to the city. Like
that's exactly what's going to happen. There's also going to be yet another. The marshals are going to get a phone call. They're going to figure out a way on how to impeach Nino, Peters, and Daisy. Nothing's going to come out of that. It's just going to be all, you know.
No, I mean, I'm gonna make it all public. Like I'm going that thing I sent you.
Yeah.
That is going to be in the SOPs and a MDT announcement. The marshals can see exactly the parameters in which we're operating and see that it really doesn't, it's not as big of a deal as they might think, but they're going to still freak out about it.
It is, because you're gonna hit them in the ego. That's the worst thing you can do.
Yeah.
This is Los Santos, Daisy. What do you mean?
Well, you know,
he just got shot over ego earlier.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, Cassidy called Peters a subhuman, so he can be the sub-authority now.
Damn. All right.
Yeah.
All right, I fuck with that. All right. Okay.
But I really will be like, you know, they might not care. They might not care.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah. Yep. No,
Who
I
knows
think
what'll happen, I guess.
this is really good. Two things so tomorrow I'm gonna see when they're good. I personally think it's better for us to try to do the later one, just because speed running a meeting is never good, right?
Yeah, and I will probably like I'll only have about half an hour.
Yeah. I thought about the one that we quickly did with
I felt so bad that I couldn't really talk to him.
It's not just that, but also because it was like a lot of he was even it's just not good. Separately, I cooked something up so consider that my understanding is that drugs is all these guys have. I'm not saying that they shouldn't do drugs, but there is if they can't do that, they're gonna kill cops, right? And if there is the rope is too tight, they're gonna react. You get what I'm saying? Which is kind of what we've been talking about, and I think these things are gonna resolve it. But I was also thinking, you know, another way I can mitigate some of this is I was contemplating having the Southside games.
What are the Southside games?
I have no idea, but I think it's going to be prize pool and get these guys to compete with each other against the LSPD in some kind of fun, legal activity.
Get Peach and Jeb to organize it.
I think that's a great idea. And there may be, I think, not only can it break the tension, but if there's $1 million to $2 million on the line, right? There's going to be no shootouts as long as I can make it fun and interesting. So I'm spitballing some ideas as to what it's going to be, but I'm going to try to get this sorted like ASAP.
Okay, I think that's great. That would be really fun.
Yeah, I think so too.
You should reach out to Sky's there. Hi, need to talk to you. You should definitely reach out to Peach and Jeb tomorrow.
Okay, will do. 100%.
Okay.
All right.
I just ran into Sky, so I'm gonna chat with her for a bit.
Okay.
Is there anything else you need from me?
No, I should be good. Oh, one other thing. The low-hanging fruit. Should guns be pulled out during a basic traffic stop on individuals that are unknown whether or not they're dangerous? I've witnessed this a couple times. It makes me raise an eyebrow.
It depends on the reason for the traffic stop. So if it's just a routine traffic stop where, like,
Den
you know,
pulled a gun on
somebody
me
was,
yesterday.
did he mean to pull out the
Yes.
gun?
And he's done it to others. This isn't a den thing. I'm just kind of bringing it up as like a, it might be worth reminding some officers that having a gun in a basic traffic stop is, or running a red light is, you know, not the move.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for letting me know.
Yep.
I will,
Absolutely.
I'll talk to him about it.
All right. Easy. I appreciate it,
Okay.
Daisy. I'll talk
Good
to,
to talk to you.
them tomorrow.
All right.
All right.
Talk to you later.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. The South Side Games, I like it.